Man, I'm so fucking tired, it's ridiculous. Today I'm like working. I was bussing tables today. The restaurant I worked at. Actually, it started out where I went to a different restaurant with my grandmother stayed over last night. The one from Pennsylvania, or the one from South Carolina. Who I live with in Pennsylvania. I was in high school. She was in South Carolina now. And so she flew in last night. I haven't seen her in over a year since I was, since I went out to South Carolina for a month last May, April, May. And, so I woke up and then she was there. And of course, my mom's there, the PhD, like Mrs. Mental Health Professional or whatever. So she's there and, talked to my grandma. Then we went and had breakfast with my brother, my uncle, and my aunt, which is just like, I mean, they're all fine people or whatever, but I'm just like not quietly sitting there. I engage with everyone. But I'm just like, I don't know. This is a tough way to start the day. Because you kind of live with the way that you approach life, your view of the world, pre-face of God and post-face of God are sort of two different paradigms. The first paradigm is how you know reality when you look at the world and like how you're seeing the world right now. I'm a guy on a video and all that, because you haven't seen the face of God yet. Seeing it immediately, like if you saw it right now, you would die. Your mind isn't primed to see it. Couldn't handle it. It's too much at once. Well, afterward, once you prime your mind, and then if you're lucky enough for him to show you his face, worthy enough, I guess is the right word. Not that I'm the one who makes the choice. He does. He did it with Moses, 1300 BC. Did it again with me in 2018. And no one between fucking Moses and me, save maybe like, I don't even know, because I don't think they documented it. I don't know if it was documented in the same way, or if it was described in the same way, if it happened to, like, let's say, like the apostles during their tongues of fire, which could have very well been the face of God in a group setting, or maybe Jesus had happened, but we don't know anything about what happened to fucking Jesus between 12 and 30 years old when he was alive, because no one documented it. Moses didn't document what was happening leading up to him seeing the burning bush. But had we seen that, those records, if they had kept records, then we would have a better idea of how one can see the face of God, like under what context or what circumstances will he actually show you his face. I presume he only shows his face if he's going to get attention for it, i.e. you write a book or you record the process, make a movie or film of your life as you build up, prime your mind until he anoints you and gives you his seal, just showing you his face. Where things pixelate and all that. I talk about that in the book, whatever. My point is, when you're around, after you see the face of God, if you're fortunate enough to have that happen, then you'll never doubt that he's reading every thought you have. Okay, it's just something you're gonna have to deal with, and you'll know that it when I say that to you, it may be startling, or you're like, oh no, that's not how it works, or he's not actually reading my mind. You find out he actually is. Okay, now, you'll never know that until he shows you his face, and you only see his face if you give him a platform of film, like using video footage like I am now, or maybe if you write a book like Moses wrote Torah. And then also you have to like be primed to see his face, and then you have to stabilize afterward. Now, here's my point. You will never doubt that he's screening every thought you have, okay? Once that happens. And you'll be changed in the twinkling of an eye, because the twinkling of an eye is when your vision pixelates. Moses bush burned without burning. And you'll be around people who they haven't seen his face, no big deal. But after you see it, because you don't doubt him actually like screening your thoughts after that. You'll know it in your soul, your mind, from experience, because there's proof that only you will know. You're going to be around a bunch of people who haven't seen his face. They'll think you're crazy or whatever. I know you won't be crazy. if you show me a kick-ass story leading up to it. But anyone else will think you're totally nuts. So my advice to you is, don't tell them. Don't even mention it. This is a special moment in your life, gifted by God, because of whatever actions you took that He has anointed in some way. He's like, He's agreeing with your output. And your task is to stabilize, understand you don't have to go out preaching, saving the world or redeeming anyone. You don't have to do any of that. Your job, that milestone has been met, and it's about stabilizing, finishing off your story, writing a book about the events, not to preach, but to tell us exactly what happened so we can learn more about God based off the events that happened in your story. And you're only going to see His face if you get really accustomed to telling the fucking truth, which is in short supply in 2019, in the 21st century. Afterward, as you're stabilizing, you're using having seen His face, that event, as your basis for heaven. You're building out heaven in your mind. And all heaven is your stable state of euphoria, because you know that He's screening every thought you fucking have. Okay? But you're going to be around people who haven't experienced that, who think that's not possible. You can't get that. Your action. Fuck that. It's possible. It's happened before. It happened in 2018, and you bet your fucking ass it's going to happen again. Because there are two types of people in this world. Those who will clamor to see the face of God, do everything in their power to see the face of God, and those who will do everything in their power to hide from the face of God. But anyway, you're building out a stable heaven. And the foundation for heaven, when you see His face, you will know that you have seen God. And when I say face, it's unlike anything you expect, and you will only know it when you see it. And afterward, you will be changed forever. But the foundation for heaven is the following. When you see His face and the experience matches what I've described to you, you'll know that my experience, because your experience matches mine, that both of ours are real. And during my experience, I got the keys to the kingdom, which is the foundation to heaven, which is we are all alone in the fucking universe. My words, not His. There's nothing else out there. And that is the piece of information that is necessary to experience heaven for real. Because you will never be able to feel a sense of peace, calm, euphoria, enlightenment, unless you know two things. One, God exists, and two, there ain't shit out there. It's us and Him. And obviously whatever life forms are on Earth. But that, when you have your experience, you'll know that aliens and extraterrestrials, that shit it doesn't exist. And that's the foundation for heaven. And then it's just about stabilizing and remembering all you have to do is build out a portion. You have two paradigms, two ways of looking at the world, okay? When you're around people who haven't seen His face, keep quiet. Don't say anything. You don't have to preach. You don't have to fucking convince anyone. You don't have to do shit. Just try to remember, even though it's impossible to ever go back to how you felt and how you viewed the world before seeing His face, try and at least remind yourself of what it was like prior to seeing His face, because that's how everyone is still seeing the world around you. Okay? The other version is the version you get to experience alone, the new version. And that's how, it's heaven, it's new earth. Everything you see, the colors are brighter. Things just work out. Whatever. You'll know what I'm talking about when you experience it. And the key is, because the heaven version, the heaven paradigm is so new that it'll be once, like it takes time to stabilize. For me, it happened in March of 2018. Now it's September 2019. Like, 18 months ago, a year and a half ago. But once you get stable enough, or once you get stable, you're going to be able to operate in both realms. Now, I'm not entirely convinced. I'm pretty fucking sure Jesus saw God's face, like God the Father's face. And that happened over a 2.5-year period leading up to his public ministry, if I had to guess. I don't know, because no one was there. They didn't have fucking iPhones to record it like I did for my whole fucking journey. But if it's taken me 2.5 years so far on my journey, my guess is 2.5 years of a 3.5 total year journey. My guess is he had 2.5 years under his belt before he came out of the gate, God's place, and changed the world. Because you need that time to stabilize, because everything becomes new. My point is that getting that ability to go to both different zones, both different the two different paradigms, is critical for the time being, because you have to remind yourself 7.7 other billion people on this earth haven't seen the face of God. Why? They just haven't known that. They didn't know it was possible. Even though it's written in the book of Revelation that we'll see God's face, and his name will be in our foreheads, because that's all you're going to think about, or that's all you're going to want to think about after you see his face, is God, all the time, and how what your role in heaven is, what your role in where you fit, and what your function is to do. You're going to have to work, not 40 hours a week. I'd stick with the 15-hour-a-week program, because that seems to work best, leaving the other 25 hours of work time that you're used to devoted to God and whatever you're doing to refine your, like your thinking and your paradigm as it relates to heaven, and then also talking back and forth. And had I had someone taught this to me prior to seeing the face of God, it would have been a smoother process for me. You wouldn't see all the bumps on this channel. But because I didn't have a teacher to do this, the only person who I was recorded doing it, I believe, lived over 300 years ago, I had to sort of get through it without much help. But with you, all you're trying to do is see the face of God. That's it. And once you see it, the toughest part, it's like a 90-second process, but 20 seconds of it are just, they're horrifying. You feel like you're worried you're gonna die. But you have to remind yourself that when that happens, that second wave hits, the last 20 seconds, you gotta remind yourself that it's an act of love, and just get through it. He knows you're going through it, and it's supposed to be extremely intense in order for you never to fucking forget it at all. It will rock you. It will rock you to your core, and you will never doubt that God reads every single fucking thought in your mind. Don't have to go around telling everyone about it. Although if he shows you his face, you're going to have a kick-ass story, and you're going to want to tell people about it. And that's when you send it to me and my platform. You're like, why do I need a platform? Because I'm going to authenticate, judge it for authenticity, and then show it to the world on a platform. And we're going to see all your bad, all the crap at the beginning of your story, all your flaws, like all the details of your life, all the things that, skeletons in the closet, things like that, so we know who you really are. And you're going to see him use that as a maestro and create a masterpiece, which is his masterpiece that you get to participate in, because he can't tell. I mean, the story is told through the events that are lived by you in your life. You record them, then we package them up, show them to the world. And I want to say that I like the format of having the book which you'll write a book about all the events leading up to seeing the face of God and then what happened afterward. It'll allow you to refine the story, not to bullshit the story, but to really understand from different perspectives what happened, you know? Because when you see his face, there's a couple different perspectives. There's a perspective of what you feel and the sensations you experience. Then, like, the initial sensations, you're like, oh my God. And then there's you trying to sort out, well, what does that mean? Like, you know, how does it relate to my story? And, you know, you don't have time. When you first experience it, you haven't had the time to reflect and then see how it relates to everything. So you know, as you write your book and maybe have a couple of different drafts, like I've had, this is my second like major draft or whatever, that, you know, you'll understand more about your story, who you are, and things like that. So anyway, but back to my day. It's just been a long day. Started out with the whole family thing. I hadn't seen people in a while. Then went and worked as a busser, which I usually don't do, so I was already tired, you know, mentally exhausted. I don't know, I had some pretty bad thoughts while I was in there. Not like bad, just like, man, fuck this, like, you know, can I continue, like, doubting myself, doubting God, doubting the plan, whatever. As long as I'm confessing, I looked at graven image, I don't know, worried about money, negative thoughts toward humanity, negative thoughts, like I said, toward myself. I don't know, stole a soda, you know, like a courtesy cup or some shit. Graven image. I don't know, God, it's not easy. You know that. But I'm gonna keep putting, you know, one foot ahead of the other. On your journey, there will be times where you say to yourself, can I continue forward? Oh yeah, I thought about killing myself. I mean, like there was a fleeting thought, but it's like, man, just fucking jump off that bridge, fuck this. But, you know, you'll get through it. Alright, see you guys later.